Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about using Zapier to automate your Meta lead form data. So a little bit about myself. I'm Jordan. I work for an agency called Annika Digital. I mainly do paid social and a bit of Google, but today I'm going to be talking about sort of Meta lead ads. So I'll run through what Meta lead ads are for anyone who hasn't used them before, what Zapier is, how to set up a Meta trigger, and there's some examples of setting up an action. So hopefully by the end of this talk, you'll know how to sort of at least learn the basics and know how to go away and do it yourself. Okay, so hands up, who's used Meta lead forms before? Okay, quite a lot of you, nice, okay. So for the people out there who haven't, so Meta lead forms, they keep the user on the platform, which means you don't really need website tracking because you're not sending them to a website. Everything's happening on Facebook or Instagram, and therefore sort of tracking is not needed. Parts of the form are pre-populated, so things like name, your date of birth. You can sort of select what sort of things you put in there, but you can pre-populate some of it, and that helps to speed up the process of someone submitting a lead form. You want to make it as simple as possible. It does have a drawback sometimes, but you want to make it as simple as possible to do it. And lead form data can be downloaded via Ads Manager or Business Suite, depending on what version you're using. However, for the people who've used it, you've probably spotted one main issue, and that is you have to download the data manually. So you have to go in, you have to select maybe, there's different ways to do it, but you might have to go to certain campaigns or ad groups and go and download 5 leads, go to another campaign, download 5 leads. Then you've got all this customer data on your personal computer, and it just becomes a bit of a faff. So as I say, some of the problems, it's also time consuming, and depending on how many campaigns you're running, you're probably spending a good half an hour getting out just the raw data, let alone then having to reformat that and make it readable. You want to be handing it over to the salespeople or whoever with, phone numbers actually being visible to read, not with loads of sort of additional numbers or, mishmash of numbers. It can have some GDPR issues because, again, you don't really want to be handing the data if you don't need to. So you don't want to be downloading loads of personal data onto your laptop and having it there. You might delete it, it'll sit in your recycle bin, but again, it can cause some issues where you're handling all this customer data. You don't really want to be doing that. Human errors can occur. So people are downloading the data, they may be reformatting it, messing things around. They could put a phone number next to a different name. They could, delete some email addresses, and it can just become a bit of a faff. They're obviously trying to get rid of duplicates if you're sort of trying to download it daily, and it just becomes very messy. And sometimes giving access to the right people is harder than it should be. So you as the marketer, you might be running the lead form ads, but actually you're not the person ringing up that customer who's inquired, it's someone else. And sometimes trying to get them the access is hard work, or you're having to download the manual data manually. You're then having to put it in an email and send that personal data via an email, which is, again, not that most secure. Maybe you could do a password, but again, if someone gets into your email address, they're going to find the email that says the password on it, and they're going to, get that data together. So again, it's just not worth it. So there is a solution. There's multiple solutions out there, but the one that I've been using is Zapier. So again, who's used Zapier before? Hands up. Okay, so not so many of you. So maybe some of you will benefit from doing this today. So effectively, the reason I sort of use Zapier is you can connect to over 6,000 apps. So, if you're trying to connect to Salesforce, HubSpot, there's tons out there. So realistically, if you're looking for a solution, Zapier is probably going to have the tools you're using, and you can connect them up. So, if you're having that, you're using obviously the other apps. Can automate the repetitive tasks. So obviously, as I say, it is really repetitive to download daily data. It could be you could do it every couple of days, but then if the longer you leave it, that lead could go a bit cold. So you probably want to be doing it often enough, and obviously that then creates repetitive tasks. It avoids coding or relying on developers. It's effectively a plug-and-play type system. So you don't have to have in-depth coding knowledge to make it work. And as I say, the main benefit and the reason I really like it is you're not handling the data. You're effectively getting Zapier to communicate directly with Facebook and directly with a CRM system. It's doing it automatically, constantly, everything's up to date, and you're not touching it. You're just making sure it's, working properly, and you're not actually seeing any of that data either. It is the perfect solution. So how Zapier works, or in how I use Zapier, shall I say. So a lead form is submitted on Meta or Instagram, potentially. That triggers a Zap in Zapier, and I'll show you how to set up a Zap up in a minute. And then that action connected to the Zap is then fired. So the action could be sending that data to your HubSpot CRM system, for example. So how to set up a Meta trigger. So first off, you're going to either sign into or sign up to a Zapier account, and then in the left-hand corner, you'll see a create, and then you'll see Zaps. So straight off, really easy. And then you'll be presented with this view. And there's 2 steps. So there's a trigger step and an action step. So we're going to start with the trigger. And we're going to search. Most people know how to search. And you'll search, for example, Facebook, and you'll see Facebook lead ads come up. It is a premium Zap, so you can't access it for a free account. You will have to pay a subscription to access this. But in this instance, we're wanting to send Meta lead forms via Zapier. So that's obviously the trigger we're going to be looking for, but you can use loads of different triggers. And then it'll come up with some options, and most of them, there's only one option. So in this instance, the only option or the only event we can select is new lead. So when someone submits a form on Meta, that's the event that will happen. Click continue, and you will then log into your Facebook account. That's obviously the Facebook account linked to the ad manager account you're using, and you'll be presented with all these Zaps. So in this instance, I'm going to connect it to my profile, and then what I'll be presented with is the page and the form that I want to use. So if you're an agency, you'll probably click on this and you'll have a drop down of loads of pages. If you're marketing for one business, you might just have the one page you have access to. Again, you want to be admin on that Facebook page. And then the form, if you drop down here, you'll see all the forms that you've created in your campaign, and then you can select the relevant one. So again, with things like that, make sure you're naming it correctly so it's easy to find and you know what it's on about. And then simply test the trigger. And when you click test trigger, you should be presented with some data, some lead data on this right-hand side, showing you all the details that are being pulled through from your Meta lead form that you've selected. And that's pretty much it. Click continue, and that's your trigger done. Simple way. So the second bit is setting up the action. Okay, so I've got some examples here. The first one is WhatsApp. So again, we're now on that second stage, and we're going to select that action. So we're going to go and search and look for WhatsApp notifications. Click on that button. All very simple. Then we'll be presented again with some options. Again, these are very simple ones, but once you've conquered these, you can go and make whatever you want to do. So on this instance, we're going to get WhatsApp to send a message. So when someone submits a form and it triggers this Zap, the event that will occur is a WhatsApp message will be sent. So again, we're going to log in with the phone number connected to that WhatsApp account that we want the message to be sent from. So in this instance, it's my mobile number, and we're going to ask for it to do the new template, the new lead template. So again, you can do different things like shopping confirmations, things like that. So select the event most relevant to you, and effectively then what you will do is it will ask you some details on the right hand side. So the name, email, phone number, lead source, and again, all these things, if you click into the box, you will then be presented with the raw data from that lead form that you've connected. So here it will be dynamically putting in the first name, the last name, email address, etc. And again, you can test or retest that step if you've gone back and changed something. And then what you'll be presented with when you do run that test is something like that. So you will then receive a message coming through saying you've received a new lead. So someone's submitted that lead on Facebook, it's triggered this event, and I've now got that lead come right to my phone. So seconds. And if I put the salesperson's number in, they're going to lead in their phone in seconds. Perfect. So that's one way you can do it. That's one example. The second example, you can use it by emailing to maybe your salesperson instead. So again, doing the same thing, you're selecting your action. So in this instance, we're going to click email by Zapier. Again, you can use a couple of different ones in there. You can see, for example, there's Gmail. And again, most of these actions you select, there tends to be only one option. So it's, again, it's quite explanatory. And again, you'll be putting in there. So again, in this instance, I'm saying when that event gets triggered, I want an email to be sent to my email address. So if you want to email me later, there's my email address. A subject. So again, when I'm looking in my email box, if I see that it says new lead from Facebook, I know that's, as Zapier sent me through that. And then in the body, you can customize this to whatever you want. I tend to go with quite a templated way, but I say, I'm nice to myself. I say, hello, Jordan. And then again, I put in that raw data. So I put name, and then I put in that data that's come from the lead form and go down. So again, if this is going to a salesperson, they've got all the details they need in there. You can also, on the forms, for anyone who's used them, you'll know, you can ask some custom questions. So I might be asking, for example, the company name. I might be interested in asking what service they're interested in. So again, it's giving that little bit of information to the salespeople. So when they do go and call the person, they've got all the information there. They don't need to go looking around elsewhere, trying to find out the information. They've got all they need. And if they want more, they can always ask. You can put it in the lead form and get it going through there as well. So again, a little bit like WhatsApp, you'll be sent, again, like an email like this. This is a test email, but on the real one, you'd be getting real names, etc. going through. So WhatsApp or email, what's preferred, you can send it to both. Third example, so this is slightly different. So this is to do with MailChimp. So if you want, you might be running a campaign to try and get people's email addresses for a marketing campaign. And obviously, sometimes when you do an email marketing campaign, you might send out a birthday message. So in this instance, we want to be able to put that the person's birthday in MailChimp so that we can put that into a MailChimp email marketing funnel and get that automatically working. We don't want to have to go into MailChimp and start messing around with things. So again, search Formatter and you'll see Formatter by Zapier. Again, I've suggested these ones because they're free, but obviously there'll be other, there's over 6,000 apps you can use, so you can use different ones as well. And effectively what we're going to be doing is placing that between the Facebook trigger and the final event, which is adding that new subscriber to MailChimp. So we're going to be putting it in the middle. And what we want to do is Facebook will be pushing that data through as month, day, year. So a full sort of date of birth, but we don't want that and MailChimp won't accept that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to month, day. So we know exactly when their birthday is. We know it happens every year, so we don't need the year. And that's effectively now going to be able to be pushed into MailChimp and MailChimp's going to accept it. So now when we look into MailChimp, we'll have all their details and we'll also have their date of birth populating in there as well. And then the final one, when you are then setting up the event, again, there's a couple of different options you can add. In our instance, we're doing add or update a subscriber. And we can also, when you're adding that new subscriber to MailChimp, you can tag it. So you can tag it with things like, in this instance, Facebook lead form. So when I go into MailChimp, I could filter and see how many leads we're getting from Meta or Instagram, which are now then going into MailChimp. So then I can go report to my marketing manager and say, we've got 1,000 more leads from just using Meta. How great is that? But you can do other tags. You might tag by your custom questions, so they filter themselves into certain interests. And obviously then that can be used for your email marketing funnels as well. And it will look, when you look into MailChimp, it will look a little bit like this when you start to look at your tagged audiences. So you can see here, I've filtered by lead form, and there's 2,500 lead forms, or people now in the MailChimp system that have come from Facebook. You can also see in there that birthday column is now being populated as it should be. And the final one, and this is a bit of a silly example to be honest with you, I wouldn't suggest this, but I wanted to go full steam on it. So you don't have to use these, you don't have to set one Zap up for one action. You can have multiple actions in one Zap. So, in this instance, a lead from Meta. At the same time as that, we're then going to send a message, what I showed you earlier, to the sales team saying, you've got a new lead. At the same time, we're then going to send an email to that user to say, thank you for inquiring, a salesperson will get in contact with you. So again, we're sort of saying, look, someone's going to get in contact with you. It's sort of that positive response to them to confirm we've actually got it and they're not just filled in a random form. What we're also going to do, because again, salesperson's got their details, they didn't care about anything else, now they're going to call them. But what we need to do for maybe the marketing team and the other people is actually put that person into Salesforce so we can actually track it in a CRM system. So we're going to add that lead in Salesforce. And then once that salesperson has spoken to the person, they can go into Salesforce and they'll see the contact in there. They can update it and say, yeah, it was a lead, it wasn't a lead, etc. So making it as simple as possible for everyone. Again, what we'll be doing is that date of birth reformatting so that we can then add that person as an email subscriber and start hitting them with email marketing campaigns as well. So bit of a silly example. You probably won't put all these in one, but you can see how you can start to use, just off getting one lead form, how you can start to feed it into loads of different places and you don't have to do anything. Once you've set it up, it's, you can do the same thing and you can just check that the Zap hasn't broken for whatever reason. And that's been me. If you want to scan that QR code, that's the slide deck. And yeah, thank you for listening.